Hey, we are live. Let's see what we're gonna do about all this feedback. We are live. Let's see what we're gonna do about all this feedback. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. My name is Melissa Moonchild, and I am the owner and creator of lunarrainbotanicals.com, where we just curate all kind of really cool formulas for the yoni. I find myself on a mission to spread as much knowledge as we can to help remember ourselves and remember our way of life and how in harmony and how good it feels to be in harmony with the earth and to remember how to handle our yonis. It has its own kind of way. So let's get right back into it. The yoni is a self-cleaning organ. You know, it's the portal. The yoni is that ancient Sanskrit word that deals with the yoni. It talks about it makes the womb into an actual portal. We're talking about the mental, physical, spiritual, chemical aspects of this portal that we have. So it's never just the organ itself. So here's some interesting rules of thumb for treating your yoni that we probably never heard of. One is if you wouldn't put it in your eye, you don't put it in your yoni. And what does that mean? That means that let's start with the similarities between the eye and the yoni. They actually are both self-cleaning. They both have mucosal membranes around them. They're both always moist. And they actually even feel alike, which is one of the polls that I wanted to make today. If you happen to be on YouTube watching, then I have a question, and that is, do you know what your cervix feels like? I am surprised as I'm working with my clients that most women just don't even know what their cervix even feels like or where it is. It feels like an eyeball. It has the same kind of firmness. Imagine your eyeball with a pit in it, a dip in it. And that's exactly what the cervix feels like. And it should be just as smooth as an eyeball. If you have any dents or pits or rough spots on it, that's when they scrape those during your what are those? What is that exam called? Pap smear. When they scrape those during the pap smear and culture them and look at them under the microscope, that's when they see the abnormal cells. Now, if you are on the schedule that they recommend, that the doctors recommend, you're doing this cervical scan, I guess, once a year. But if you were to actually be able to know what your cervix feels like and feel it yourself every day, then you would know the condition of your cervix. It should feel firm and smooth, as firm as an eyeball and as smooth as the eyeball without any kind of issues on them. You don't want to wait a whole year. So let's say you have an exam and then they don't find anything, and maybe a month or 2 months later you start a growth, but you don't feel your cervix every day. You don't know what it should feel like, and then this thing grows for the next 9-10 months without being checked because you don't know what it feels like. But now if you were to feel it every day and you feel something growing, you feel something abnormal on the surface of your cervix, you can begin addressing it immediately and not letting it just run rampant and feed off of whatever is there. And of course, I'm always going to advocate for the natural remedies, but whatever you got to do, to get yourself back balanced. There's a Native American uh, adage that says medicine is whatever it is that inspires and incites and ends up with you in balance. So sometimes it looks like a healthy method and sometimes it don't. But as long as you're aware and you work towards it. Okay, so let's keep it moving. Now, once you have this general rule of thumb that if you wouldn't put it in your eye, you don't put it in your yoni. Now we're cooking with gas, Because if you actually go through the aisles of your average stores and pharmacies and places where you would get your feminine wash and you would get any kind of creams, or if you have an imbalance, read the ingredients. Most of them, if you were to find them on their own in a bottle, they'd have a skull and bones next to the name of the chemical that it is, because they're poisonous. And there's not a lot of regulation for products that are used for the yoni. So it doesn't really take a lot. Just like the eye, you don't need to put soap in your eye, you don't need to put all kind of harsh chemicals in your eye. The gentler and more simpler the formula, the better it will be, and the less aggravating or imbalancing to your pH as possible. Literally, I'm going to give you guys the trick for the best yoni wash you can make, and that is just take some Castile soap and dilute it with at least 50% water, depending on the kind of Castile soap that you have. That's a vegan soap. Get one that's organic. Dr. Bronner's is awesome. And just dilute it with water. You're going to only ever wash the outside of the yoni with a soap that has no chemicals. Read the labels. Even a lot of these natural soaps and stuff, it's so hard to have a liquid soap without preservatives in it, especially if it has natural herbs and stuff. You can make it yourself and keep it in the fridge, and it's more effective, more medicinal than anybody can make without any preservatives, and you throw it away. So if anyone wants any more information about that, making your own kind of yoni wash recipes, just reach out to me. I'd love to elaborate more on that, because literally what you can get out of fresh ingredients, if the companies were able to bottle the effectiveness that you could get out of the fresh ingredients without any preservatives, they would have to charge you so much because they'd be that effective. But what they're doing is they're bottling it and needing to preserve it in order for it to have stability on the shelf and make it to you. So, but you can make yours much more efficient. So that's just that side note. But the point that I want to make, though, is anything that you do introduce to your yoni, make sure that it's gentle and plant-based, and only ever use soap on the outer labias, never inside of your canal. You never really need to even go all up in the crevices too harsh with the soap. There's women that have told me that they only use plain water for their labia and the outer part of their yoni, and because anything else is completely irritating. And with the water alone, their body was able to balance itself over time and be cleaner than ever. Okay, so now that we know that much, I want to also bring it to a little bit more of a intimate subject. Not only are we talking about the chemicals that you use for your daily hygiene, I want to talk about the things that you put in there. Period. Everything that you would introduce into your yoni needs to be completely cleansed and prepared and done in a mindful way. So we're talking about your lovers, your toys, your tampons, suppositories. Everything needs to be completely gentle, sensitive, and sanitized. Um, yeah, all the way, all of them, all, everything, everything, everything at all times, just like as if it were to be going in your eye. Okay, and that kind of hygiene before and after intimacy is incredibly important. I'm sure everybody knows that, but I just wanted to reiterate that there, because sometimes I'm hearing from a lot of women also issues that come from the partner and their partner's hygiene practices. Okay, so the other thing that I want to talk about while we're in the subject of intimacy is the practice of loving head down. Because when we love down up and getting to know somebody, where this culture, it's kind of popular in our culture right now, that we would love someone getting to know each other with our intimate physical parts first, and then see how we work out with our minds and our hearts in order. And that actually puts a strain and a filter, um, a need to filter on the yoni, giving the yoni a job that it really doesn't have. It doesn't need to be filtering. It's not a discernment portal for you. The mind should be that, because once the yoni has been accessed by something that is of lower integrity, it's too delicate. Use the mind to filter, not the reactions of the yoni, because she will react and let you know when it's the wrong person, even if it has nothing to do with hygiene. If it's not a harmonic building with the person, she gonna react in ways that might look like it's hygiene, but it's not, right? So that's just another thing while we're on the subject of intimacy. Make sure that we're loving head down, getting to know our partners, and connecting with our hearts before we introduce the physicality of our intimacy will make a huge difference in our culture, in our families, and the health of our yonis. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to go over, which is really, really connected to the poll question that I have, do you know what your cervix feels like? Remember, it should feel like your eyeball. It should feel firm, except with that little dip in the middle. You should know what it feels like. You should sweep it out. In many indigenous cultures, they sweep out the yoni every day, meaning as you're washing out, you literally put your finger in the canal and sweep out any excess mucus or buildup, just like when you see, eye boogers in your eye. This is a practice that I hear a lot of island women telling me that is passed on to them. But in this culture, in this American culture that I find myself in right now, it's almost like taboo to even say that you would be that comfortable with yourself, or no, the doctor does that and only once a year. But I really want to encourage us. This is our body. There's nothing of shame in this. This is a beautiful lotus flower. And we would want to know what's going on in there and not wait a whole year unchecked with any issues that could be handled in its early stages. So, so I do the daily sweep, and then it kind of also will let you see where you are in your cycle, because the different consistencies of the discharge and mucus shows you where you are in your ovulation. It's a part of being aware of your cycles. Now, there's this one Dr. Jewel Pookrum who makes the comment. She doesn't even understand how a woman wouldn't know when she's ovulating. How do you not know? It's a couple of days a year. How do you not know? Well, I can tell you, I grew up in this society where we don't have a relationship with our yonis and knowing all the details and moods and things that your yoni will have throughout the month, with different activities that you do, different foods that you eat, different balances of your hormones and times of the month. You're just kind of going with the flow. But being in there and feeling it every day and being aware of the consistency of the discharge and stuff, you do gradually over time develop a relationship or a communication and a knowing of where you are in your cycle, what's going on, even what's triggering certain reactions. And so, yeah, I just highly recommend that. I asked that question one time to a group of church women, and it was so hilarious. It was like I offended them, shocked them, everything all at the same time. Just asking, do you know what your yoni feels, what your cervix feels like, And so that was funny. So yeah, I want to highly encourage you that Indigenous women, that's part of our bodies. It's not really a big deal, and it's not anything of taboo or shame. It's like, knowing what the inside of your nose feels like, or your ear, or and it's an important thing. It's your body. So now here are some things. Oh, wait a minute. I still want to finish covering the things that we don't do, and things to be aware of and to avoid. So everything unhygienic, everything chemical, because they alter your hormones, they destroy you. That's a whole nother video. But everything chemical is just why plants, we're made out of them, with them, developed with them. They have all the answers that we need, and the balances in the proper proportions. It's just amazing how beautifully we were made in harmony with everything around us. Okay, so no chemicals. That means 90% of everything on the shelves, all the washes, all the pads, all the tampons, if it doesn't say organic cotton, you do not put it in your yoni. If those pads don't say that they're completely chemical free, and when you read the ingredients, you could say it says like cotton. You know what I mean? Don't use it, because the yoni is incredibly thin and absorbent, and it will absorb all those chemicals in, and you're gonna have to deal with it. And the sad truth is, regardless of who did and what their intentions are, most of these chemicals are hormones that are what they call um, estrogen, but estrogen like on steroids, estrogen for like some type of X-Man, some type of horse, elephant type dosage of estrogen that is super, super strong, has us with all kind of conditions that we don't need to be having, that are common and everyday, that are not supposed to be common and everyday, such as painful periods, cysts, infertility, fibroids. Way too many women have fibroids. What's going on with that? Anyway, but every day and every month we spend all day, several days, with this incredibly toxic thing right there when we're soaking it in through the yoni. Okay, so we know about the pads, the tampons, underwear. It must be cotton or wear none at all. It must be made out of some type of natural fiber or wear none at all. It's that simple. It needs to breathe. And these polyesters and stuff like that, they have vibrations, and plastics and latex, and they have vibrations that go against your body's basic needs for harmony with high vibrations. So either cotton panties or none at all. Okay. Now, here are some things that you can do. I'm going to end this broadcast just for anybody who's interested in knowing where we're going with all this. I'm going to end this broadcast with a bunch of things that you have in your kitchen right now that could substitute for lubes, bacterial vaginosis, those pellets, those boric acid pellets, and all those other Vagistat and terrible creams for these things that we're having like regular common colds that we shouldn't even know anything about. Okay, so but first I want to go over a little bit more of what you can do every day to maintain, and monthly things to maintain the yoni that our indigenous mothers did all the time. Yoni steaming, everybody knows a little bit about yoni steaming. You can do that every day. Sit over some steaming tea. That's really it. You have tea in your house, I'm sure, that you could use, from chamomile to peppermint. And if you need something with some specific, really nutrient dense, then get some from a reputable person, Yoni Steam maker formula, such as myself, or someone who puts the batch number on it. It's completely organic. A lot of us are just thrown into this business of herbs and healing each other because we need it bad. But there's some things that I'm seeing that I would love us to raise our quality of, and that is making sure that everything is organic, and we're not using endangered plants, and we're putting our batch numbers to make sure that if anything is contaminated, we can trace them. We're being responsible with it. So that's how you can, little things you can see if you're getting from a reputable herbalist. Okay, and then you need to massage your womb and your breasts every day. Every day. When you come out of the shower, and hopefully you're taking a bath every day. Bathing was something that was so important. Taking a shower is about hygiene. Bathing is about recalibration. So we're dipping ourselves, submerging ourselves. You can't really get baptized in the shower. We're talking bathing. Put yourself in a body of water and sit, right? And when you get out, massage your womb and massage your breast every day. Every day. So you can get to know your details. So when the details change at all, you're on it, right? And you're giving yourself love. You're circulating the lymph, moving the blood, and bringing fresh supply of blood to the vulnerable tissues of your body. Your breasts have to be the most vulnerable tissues of your body. There's nothing protecting them. There's nothing really protecting them from any of the elements. And they work in cahoots with the womb in maintaining your hormonal balance and all kind of good stuff. So we need to be massaging our wombs and our breasts every day. And it's really not there's not a specific technique that you need to learn or any of that. Just literally just feel it. And when it's like, oh, that feels good, go deeper into that. You know what I mean? And the same thing with the breasts. Okay, here's some really other cool stuff. If you were to open your yoni and expose it to the air every day, that's called an air bath. It's recalibrating. When you open your yoni and expose it to the sunlight, oh my gosh, it's like feeding your third eye. That's the other similarity between the eye and the yoni. How we say if you wouldn't put it in your eye, you don't put it in your yoni, is that they say that the eye is the windows to the soul, the portal to the soul, just like the yoni is the portal to your invisible soul, right? And when you open it up and let some sunlight up in there, the energy that you feel afterwards is amazing. These are things that we don't really do in this culture, but was every day for, I'm not every day, but just common, you know, for us. You feel a little off, you need a little energy, why don't you eat some sunlight? You can do that with the full moon as well. Do you need some answers? Do you need to have some augment your intuition? Do that under the full moon. Okay, so we got moon baths, we got sun baths, we got air baths. They're calibrating. They're beautiful. And then another thing that we do that I'd love to see us doing more often is kind of like a yoni steam, but it's they call it yoni fumigation. I don't like the word fumigation because it sounds too much like we're killing cockroaches or something, and that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is merging the highest vibration with incense and resins of sacred trees, and you sit over it just like the yoni steam. But this one you gotta be a little bit more careful because you're gonna be using coals. But literally, you can take a coal, put your copal on it, put your sage, and sit over it. But be careful. And in East Africa, they do this regularly. They wrap their bodies up from their top of their neck to the bottom of their foot with blankets, and they sit over a hole where they're burning incense and cow fat and other fats to make the burn slow. And that frankincense and myrrh and all those wonderful herbs together, they're so, when you do a little research on incense and the way that they change the atmosphere energetically, you can measure it. It shoots through the roof, the level of energy. It also has antibacterial, antimicrobial properties that last in a room. And when you put it burn it in a regular room, that last sometimes for days. So this is also going to translate to when you sit over it with your yoni and just concentrate and feed yourself that kind of energy and chemicals. And yeah, it's amazing, and you smell wonderful and you feel brand new. So those are some techniques that our ancestors did that we could do now, that are so accessible, really easy, and will change our life. Especially when we do it as these are habits. These are things that they would do every month, every year, do full-on cleanses where this was incorporated, very in a concentrated way. And then every month, every week, after the cycles, before the cycles, you know what to do when you feel off. I need some energy, or I got too much energy. I need to cool down and let it out. So yeah, we don't need to be going to these doctors that don't know anything about it, want to poke and probe and grab and stuff. We need to be and releasing all of our control to them. We need to be working with them by knowing our bodies well, working with them instead of surrendering everything to them, because they're just doing the best of what they have. So we need to have something, because we're in a state of emergency, all hands on deck. I don't know if you know about that. Okay. So now I want to go over some things that you probably have in your kitchen right now that could substitute for lubes. So some lubes are honey, yogurt, coconut oil, marshmallow tea. If you're making a marshmallow tea, let me show you. This is what the herb looks like, dry. Smells amazing to me. I must really need it. I want to familiarize us. This is what the marshmallow looks like. It's the bark of the root. When you soak it in cold water, you're going to be soaking it in cold water overnight. It turns into this thick thick jelly. You would strain that jelly and you can use that as a lube. This is especially helpful for people. I have women who their partners are diabetic. So, in a diabetic person, the sugar level in the blood is always a lot higher. So, that allows for more yeast. So, I've heard of many women who, every time they're intimate with their partner, they get, I mean, angry yeast infections, and the doctors never put two and two together. But then I asked, is your partner diabetic? And they're like, yeah, even though the partner doesn't have symptoms of having overpopulated candida in the system, that Yoni was way too sensitive for it and was just got angry quick. This marshmallow stuff would help a lot in the cup for a couple like that, using that as a lube, because it'll help trap the extra um, everything, toxins, and keep the vagina from soaking it in. And it's just one of my favorites. So, what else do we have for lube? Oh, yes, aloe vera is another really, really, really good one. Just scrape the gel out of the flesh leaf from a fresh leaf. Now, all of this is fresh and organic, and you can use that as a wonderful lube, and also for dry vagina. Another thing that's really good for the marshmallow root, all these lubes could be also just used for dry vagina. I wouldn't really, the honey might be a little bit of a interesting one to use just as a regular personal moisturizer, because it's kind of extra sticky. But as a lube, it's kind of extra good. Anyway, part of Arco. Part Arco is a tea that every woman should always have in her arsenal at home at all times. This thing is a yeast buster. When you get that first feeling of, oh God, I got a little bit of irritation, either because you're stressed out, ate too much sugar, not drinking enough water, wearing some synthetic panties, have a partner that's not all the way in sync with your chemistry, you can easily throw your pH off and then have an overgrowth of candida or even bacteria. And this stuff right here, part of Arco. Can you see it properly? Is it backwards? I can't tell. Anyway, P-A-U-D apostrophe P-A-U. Oh, I type it in here for you. P-A-U-D apostrophe A-R-C-O. And you should be able to find the scientific name easily online. Let me show you the texture of it so you know what you're going to get. It smells like sweet dirt. And this is what it looks like. It's very light. It looks a little bit like bark, like red bark chips. And this one, so when you're making teas that are made out of barks or roots, you're going to pour the boiling water over it and let it simmer. Let it simmer. Darko. Yes, but there's a space. Hi, Dia. Thanks for your question. There's a space after the pau. P-A-U space D apostrophe A-R-C-O. And some I don't even know what language that is, but that's how you'll find it. And so you're gonna simmer this on low heat. Simmer roots and barks on low heat, covered for 20 minutes. Okay. So let's say if you want to make a quart and you have an infection or an imbalance, you're going to make a strong infusion. An infusion means you're going to take a whole, let me show you. I work with handfuls and I feel out. I let my body, what I do, let me give you a little tip that my healers taught me. You center yourself. You think about the person that you're making this formula for, or whatever it is you're making the tea for or blend, and you say your prayers and you say your gratitudes. Then you take your dominant hand, these 3 fingers of your dominant hand, and you grab the amount with intention. So if I were to grab, this is my personal stash, so I'm just putting this using my hands, but please know that if it were for you, I'd always use gloves. But so if I were doing this for myself and I think, oh God, I think about what I'm dealing with, and I take these 3 fingers and I think about what I'm dealing with, and I'm thinking about what I'm using it for and the amount of dosage I need to make. Look what it pulls up. So this is almost like a half a cup, right, to a quart. It's a lot of herbs. When we're dealing with herbal healing, not just everyday regular nutrition and food. When we're dealing with herbal healing, we use a lot of herbs, a whole lot more than the average person expects, because we need the medicinal level of this active constituents now in our formulas. So then we're going to simmer that for 20 minutes in low heat. Then you strain it, and then you just dish it. Rinse yourself out. Do that 3 times in a day if you have an infection, until the infection is gone. Okay, or until the imbalance is gone. Once the imbalance is gone, do it once a day for 3 days, then once a week. So you understand, we're tapering off the exposure to the medicine instead of doing it cold turkey when you're giving yourself, high doses of the medicine for, like I just showed you, that was a large amount, and then we're gonna do it 3 times a day. You don't just stop that cold turkey. You got to taper it off a little bit. So that's the part article. Everybody needs to have that. It's too easy. Our pH balance in our yoni, some of us, our yonis are so a little temperamental, Okay, good. I'm glad you got it. A little temperamental. And, any little thing, she's like, she'll let you know. So we listen. And this right here puts her back real quick, real easy. Especially when it comes to yeast and candida. So, so that's the part article. That's the loo. That's the dry vagina. What else? Okay. The main thing that I also want to really bring home is that hygiene and the things that we're putting on the outside is just half of the battle. What you're eating is the other important part. And let me say this: what we're eating with our consciousness, what we're eating with our attention, what we're eating with our attitudes, what we're eating with what we're allowing, the treatments and behaviors we're allowing our yoni to be treated in, that trumps anything that you put on it. So I want to encourage us to not only, in summary, make sure that we only use plant-based things for our hygiene. Make sure we love from the head down our partners. Make sure everything we put in there has been sanitized, but also our thoughts and our attitudes about our sexuality, our attitudes about our vaginal portal. If we could find a way to let go of the shame that's been beat into us, it won't show up so much in our physical state of being and our physical health. It would be so much easier to get back to just being this vibrant, radiant. And it's not up to the people that gave us these attitudes in trauma or whoever it might be. I blame post-colonialism on a lot of it, post-slavery traumatic disorder on a lot of it. They're never going to heal us. It might not be our responsibility for how we got it, but we're the only ones who have the power and the ability to heal it. And I know for sure we're going to heal, be stronger than we were when we started. I know for sure. And these little tips, this is my little, way to help us get there. And that's pretty much it. If there's any other questions I can help with, anything I went over that would need more elaboration. The main points that were the most important to me was, of course, only plant-based. We need to be washing every day. If you could bathe every day, sit and soak in a body of water every day with some salt in it and some tea, but every day you're recalibrating your whole energy for your whole body, and especially your yoni. Massage and breast massage and womb massage every day. If you could figure out how to have an orgasm with only vaginal canal stimulation, I'm only going to put that in there quickly because that's a whole nother video. That there exponentially increases the amount of T cells and immune system fighters. An orgasm from pure clitoral stimulation is not nearly as life-giving as an orgasm from pure vaginal canal stimulation. We have so much trauma and so much shame sitting in our hips and our yonis that very few of us are able to achieve that. But when you do, You come online with the rest of us who are putting our orgasms into the black hole of the universe to manifest a whole new world. That's what we can do with these yonis. They're not, I mean, but today I'm trying to concentrate on just the hygiene in every day. How do we cleanse our womb and prep for pregnancy? Great question. Wonderful question. If let's say I were planning on getting pregnant and doing the wise, deliberate thing, I would literally spend 3 to 4 months before then um, on a cleansing diet. I hate using the word diet because it sounds like die and restrictive, and it doesn't have to be. It could be a celebration of colors and flavors. As long as it's all plant-based, 75% raw leafy greens, and lots of green juice. With every meal, have a glass of green juice. I have a video on how to make green juice. We're basically just telling you quickly, in case you don't know, because this is a pillar to preparing your body, is having this green juice, because it's a way to have this is my chlorophyll water, but a cup full of nutrition, concentrated nutrition with greens. That's what your body's supposed to really be eating. Think chimpanzee, ape, orangutan. These strong, strong primates, they eat greens. And, gorillas, they eat greens. And that's what we're made as, to eat greens. So I would spend 3 months before I actually deliberately conceive, flushing out my whole body gently with plants and green juice. Each meal I have would be mostly raw fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and with a green juice. You're going to poop a lot, and that this is a good thing. The pooping from green juice is not, it should never cramp, it should never diarrhea. It's just gonna, just from the rooter to the tutor, clean everything out. Once everything is out and clean, and also the reason why I love green juice is because you can put so many powders in it. So now you can really have a whole meal in a glass with all kind of, if you put moringa powder, guanabana powder, noni powder, acai powder, all kind of wonderful superfoods available to us modern people in powdered form. Put that in your green juice. Now you have a wonderful oxygenated, mineral, vitamin rich drink. Have that 3 times a day. Do that for about 3 months, honey. You'll have a brand new body and ready to conceive and be strong enough to go through that whole pregnancy and delivery and maintain, the integrity of the flesh without breaking down in any kind of way. I hope that helps. If I could elaborate in any more way, please let me know. I gonna go ahead and close out. Oh, if for anybody who was here live, there's just a couple of us. So I see you here. I want to send you guys a free gift. If you would text me your address. Everybody who texts me the address, I'm going to send you a formula that I've been working on for breast and womb massage. I would love your feedback. It's really amazing. I'm not in my office today because I went there to set up for this live, and they had to do some construction. But in there, I would have been able to show you all the herbs and the setup that we have. I just soak a bunch of flowers with some great moringa oil, and we strained it, and now that's our breast and womb massage oil that I would love to gift you guys with for being here today. The main reason why I wanted to go live was just so that sometimes it's hard for me to focus. There's just so much information. I want to make sure that you guys get it clearly and in real time. You can stop me and be like, wait, more of this, or go this way. So thank you for helping all of us heal by being here and participating and asking your questions. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day. Don't forget, send me an address where I can either in my comment in my message system in YouTube, or on Facebook, or in my website. There's so many ways you can reach me, and I check all of them, and let me know. Thank you. And I will send you guys a sample. I'm really excited, and I'd love to hear feedback. But I know we're all busy, so if you don't even have time to let me know how the oil was, just please make sure you use it. Okay, love you guys. Have a great day, and hopefully we'll be doing this weekly. Okay? Peace out.